Today we're tying the famous Scottish fly, the Humongous, very popular on Loch Leven, but in fact all around the world, catches fish wherever you take it. Today we're tying on the RX hook. They're wet fly hook in a size 8. Traditionally these flies are tied on a size 8 hook. The next thing is medium bead chain in the eyes. I've got a little bit left there, so just medium silver bead chain. Then you'll need the sparkle flash in silver to put flash into your tail, followed by black marabou in the tail. Try and get black marabou. We've got lots of long fibres. We want to make this fly as long in the tail as we can. That's part of the success of the fly. Silver wire for the rib and to lock in the palmed body. A medium silver chenille for the body itself. And then finally the palmed body. Now you can use a range of materials there. In this case we've used a grizzle hackle, or you can use a white hackle, which in both cases this is a cheap Indian cape, which means it's quite soft. We want those fibres to be quite soft, so it's not a place really for good quality genetic hackles. We want them to sweep back as we're dragging it through the water. So, using the black 8/0 thread, and this is one of the few freshwater flies where we use bead chain eyes. So you want medium bead chain, and we just lash that in up the front, but leaving, I suppose, about a millimetre gap there behind the eye of the hook, just backwards and forwards, looking to keep that straight on the hook shank. Now at this stage, just to secure it, I like to put a little bit of a dob of super glue in there. A little dob of super glue, and backwards and forwards through it again, and then sort of using that technique just to continue to lash that bead chain down. Okay, that should do it there. And the next trick is to put in your sparkle flash. So in this case we've got silver sparkle flash, and I like to put in 6 strands. So we'll cut 3 strands for a start. Just lengthen them up. There's different ways of tying these in, but this is the way I tend to do it. Again, always trying to lash down to the top of the hook when you're doing this, and cut these quite long. That'll do. Come back again and we'll put in another 3 strands. You could put in all 6 together if you like, but anyway, I've cut these as 3s. And back to behind, returning the thread to back behind the eyes then. Cut that there. Now, the next stage is to put in a black marabou. I like to get long black marabou in this. And we're going to pinch off a bunch. Oh, it's probably 30 centimetres in length, I suppose, down the shank of that feather there, down the stalk. And the trick with this fly is to have a lot of movement. So you want a big long tail in this fly. And like a lot of these, if you like, shorter shanked, but very mobile woolly bugger flies, you want as much movement as you can possibly get. So when we get down to the bend of the hook, we're lashing this down the bend of the hook. This is where I like to go back behind it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. What that does is that helps to prevent tail wraps, and when you do get a tail wrap, it actually makes it easier to get the tail wrap out. Now at this stage I'll just feel down to the back of the fly, and where it's all a bit raggedy there, just break that off between your fingertips. But you can see we've got quite a long fly there, that the tail would be a minimum of 3 lengths of the hook shank, maybe even 4, but as much basically as your marabou will let you get. The next stage is to put in a medium silver wire. So we'll tie that down the length of the body. Pop that in just again right to the back of the bend of the hook, and then just come forward a little bit. The next stage is to tie in your body material, which is a medium silver chenille. So we'll just pull off the end to expose the cord in the middle, and we're just going to tie that in at the back here. That way we don't get a lump in the body of the fly. It's nice and neat. Then return your thread to in behind the back of the bead chain eyes. Now we're going to build up that body. Not necessarily touching turns, probably about a millimetre gap between as we come down to the front here. In behind and tucks in behind the eyes there. We'll tie that off. And that's got our chenille body in place. Let's wrap that in there. Now, next stage is to put in our hackle. Now, normally you would use here a cheap Indian hackle. You don't want a good quality hackle for this because you want the fibres to be quite soft and mobile. You can use a range of different colours. The original tie was white. This is a fairly soft grizzle hackle, you know, white and a bit of black, that will do, but certainly either white or the white and black seems to work the best. And you tie in that just behind the back of the eyes there. And normally I go about 4 turns. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then come back through a crossover with your silver wire and come back through that hackle. And I come there right to the front. So then we'll tie that off just behind the eye of the hook there. Right, now we can break off that wire and break off the hackle. Now, just to neaten it up, I then like to come in back behind the eyes and just put in some wraps there. That'll sort of stop any of these fibres that are protruding forward. It'll tend to sweep them back a bit. It probably doesn't matter as far as the fishability, if you like, of the fly, but it just makes the whole fly a little bit neater. Come back towards the front and then we'll whip finish. Now, this fly can be done in both silver. The original tying was in silver. However, I also tie them in gold as well. And all you do is you just take all of the silver components and substitute gold. I find, particularly in slightly dirtier water, that the gold tends to work a bit better in clear water, the silver. But certainly both I would recommend in your box. But the original tying is with the silver. Then a bit of head cement. Now, if you're tying this for competitions, for fit boost competitions, all you do is you actually, obviously in those you can't use bead chain, so you just replace the bead chain with about a 3.5mm silver or gold bead, depending on which one you're tying, but a bead. So that's it. That's the very famous lock-leaven pattern, the Scottish pattern, the Humongous.